So I I've always played a lot of Flash games. I guess like Miniclip, Armor games, stuff like that. Also quite a big console gamer. Partly because my dad works for Microsoft, so we get the Xbox, like the consoles and the games, we all get at this kind of price. Never been a big multiplayer gamer, so I did for a bit, for Call of Duty, but I'm just not that drawn to multiplayer gaming in general. From elementary through to middle school, and for a bit, maybe over the last 2 years, I still play RuneScape with my friends.
I've played so many freaking games in my 19 years on this earth. If I had to go with some of my favorite games, World of Warcraft is one of my favorites. Played a lot of RuneScape as a kid. Tetris, Rock Band 2 was really good. Diablo games are also all awesome. Undertale. Well, I guess my point is, I think I have about 400 games in my Steam library. So I've literally spent like thousands of dollars on video games, and I play them all. So, yeah, I love video games, and I love games in general.
I'm definitely a bit more of a solo gamer than a multiplayer gamer. I play a lot of I'm big into platformers. I play Mario, Kirby, although I also do a bunch of indie stuff. Love Binding of Isaac. Super Time Force is awesome. Sort of just very hodgepodge. I play a little bit of everything. I'd say that the only genre I'm really not big into is shooters. Just although I just played Bioshock Infinite last semester, and that was great. So.
Definitely with the friend that I play split screen with, it's become one of the like foundational pillars of our friendship. Sort of rituals, for lack of a better word. Because especially because now we're both abroad for college, we don't see each other that often. When we do, we try to like just get together and game for a bit. It's just definitely a good experience. And with like the other friend who I played RuneScape with, who I stopped like a long time ago. I think just because we were in contact with each other so much more outside of school, that was really like the peak of our friendship in terms of how close we were.
Honestly, I think it's been huge for just sort of forming friendships. I mean, it's a great thing to do. It's like, hey, you want to get together and play a game. It's an easy way to approach something where even if like you don't know people as well, it was a great way to meet people in college. It's just being like, hey, you want to go play a game? And most people are usually pretty down, and it kind of lets you meet people. You get to kind of learn what they're interested in. Gamers like fellow gamers. We like having something that's kind of easy to relate to, and so I find that like having people who I could be like, oh, what do you like to play? What do you like to play? You kind of learn about people that way. And it's a great way, just like, especially like if I'm home and I want to catch up with some old friends, just, hey, want to come over and play some games. And it's just kind of, it's a nice, easy way to sort of get a bunch of people in a space together. Once that happens, it can be a lot more freeform in terms of just like, it's a great way to kind of just be in the same place as other people and not necessarily be doing anything, but just be enjoying each other's company, but still have it under the pretense of you're doing something. Usually when I'm just like meeting someone for the first time, I don't want to say I'm the person who kind of like will intentionally screw up to keep a match even, because I tend to be the person who like is very just go for it, and especially when I'm like with my friends at home, like it can get cutthroat. And that's not to imply that like I'm good at games, but like especially when I don't know somebody's skill level, I don't want to like be the person who's like, oh yes, hello, I've won again, just ha ha ha. I don't want to come off like an asshole, so I tend to like kind of keep it even until I've gotten an idea of how people play. But as I kind of get more comfortable with people, it becomes just sort of, ideally the gaming is ultimately kind of auxiliary, and what matters is kind of the interaction that's happening outside of it. When you start out and you're bonding over this thing, you become kind of self-conscious, I think, about how you play, because you don't want to like on one hand, if you're better than they are. You don't want to come off as like the guy who's just inviting people over to show how great they are. At the same time, if they're much better than you are feeling very self-conscious because you want to prove like, no, I can do this. Like, I'm good at games, I promise. I feel like when you start out, there's a bit more of kind of a wanting to change how you play versus once you're much more comfortable with someone, it's just like, again, the gaming is ultimately auxiliary.
No, there are. I have so many examples of like meeting new people online now. Like I said, I play a lot of World of Warcraft, and I guess I got most serious with it in like junior year. And I was playing it a lot because I had joined a guild, and this is like these are people from all over America pretending to be elves and dwarves and shit like that, and it's just different because you get to talk about your life with these people. It's more anonymous though. I think honestly like it's kind of a lot like Facebook and how a lot of kids use Facebook nowadays, like joining random groups and just having that like no strings attached kind of friendships with people. It's also kind of interesting because this guild I was in was very serious. It's one of the best on the server we were on because we were all playing a lot. Our guild leader, she made a Facebook group for all of our like our real lives, so just so if someone has a big event, like we share it. And then about a couple months in, she just disappeared. The guild fell apart a little while after. People were friends with her, and she was kind of holding the group together, and it just kind of dismantled very slowly. And I thought that was really crazy. On one hand, it's very easy to dismiss the kind of the massive multiplayer kind of environmental setting of like, these are just people role playing as elves and dwarves. They're not really friends. But then something like this happened. Everyone got super concerned. There people were calling the local police where she reportedly lived, and just really, really crazy. It's definitely forged friendships, even though I guess in the long term, it's not like I talk to these people anymore, but it was there. And I think the key difference between like a kind of Fortnite kind of game where it's fun to play with your friends and something like let's say The Witcher 3 is that I feel like multiplayer games generally have to sacrifice story and narrative for the social aspect, like really doing things to get people involved, get people continue to play together. And a game like The Witcher can actually can act as a movie, can act as a book, really take these complicated narratives and just put you in there. I think that's why these virtual reality games are becoming so popular now, and people are trying to kind of lower the price because even though I don't think there's a virtual reality title yet that like has made me personally want to get into it, I understand that like if you could have a World of Warcraft kind of game where you just put on goggles and you're in a little room where you can kind of walk around and really simulate yourself in the game, I don't think people ever want to leave. Like that's just the power of immersion of these games.